You got the 3 Thursday games. That's Thanksgiving. Packers, Lions, Commanders, Cowboys, Niners, Seahawks. The Black Friday game is Miami going to New York to take on the Jets. We've got some great games on CBS this Sunday as well. We're going to pick every game against the spread with Pete Prisco and Brady Quinn in just a second. Here are the lines for those games. A big one in the Cowboys game, a 2-score spread in the Dolphins game as well. Pete coming off a winning week, taking a little bit of a chunk out of the deficit. He's chasing Brady, who had a 500 week. Brady over 500 in his best bets. Now, Pete, 3 games back of Brady Quinn. All right, we're kind of all spread out because it's the Thanksgiving weekend. Brady's spending some time at home before he goes to the game, Ohio State and Michigan. Pete is spending time with his cats, and I'm here working in studio. Pete, Brady, let's start with the first game on Thanksgiving. The Packers at the Lions. Detroit 7.5-point favorite. Brady, the Lions have lost 6 straight Thanksgiving games.
That's not going to be the case in this one, though. They're the better team. Now, the question is whether or not they'll be able to cover that number, laying 7.5 at home. I don't think so. I actually think we saw a big step taken by Jordan Love last week, probably the best performance he's had as a Green Bay Packers quarterback, and in part because how banged up they've been at the running back position. Only A.J. Dillon back there to help him out. So I think this is a divisional game, a big-time spot on Thanksgiving. The Packers will keep this one close, but I do think Detroit wins it. So I'm taking the 7.5 points here with the Green Bay Packers.
I'm along for the ride. I'm taking the Packers as well. I like what I saw from Jordan Love the last couple weeks. He's starting to get more confidence. He's playing better, and the Lions' defense has not played very well the last 2 weeks, so I do think there's going to be opportunity to score points. I do think the Lions will win the game. A close one, though. I'll take the points, but I think it's going to be a fun early game because I think there's going to be a lot of points. I also like the over in this game.
Yeah, Lions, finally not dreading a Lions game on Thanksgiving, right? They're elevating Thanksgiving this time like the Cowboys have done many times. We've got the Cowboys on CBS, 4:30 Eastern time, at home against the Commanders. It's a big number again, Brady, 10.5. But the Cowboys this season have 6 wins of 20+. The big spreads have not fazed them.
No, not at all. I mean, the only thing that concerns you here is the fact that it is a divisional game. And maybe if this was in Washington, I'd feel different about it. But at home, the Cowboys, I think they can take care of business. And let's give Dak Prescott his due. He's playing at an MVP level right now. The defense has been phenomenal. Obviously, Bland has been an interception to a touchdown machine so far. But Dak Prescott able to tear into this defense, I think, with the way he's playing right now, is very capable. And defensively, that front versus the Washington offensive line, with as much as they like to throw the football, it could be set up for disaster for Sam Howell. So I'll lay the big number. Scares me that's a divisional matchup in this spot, but I think this game also hits the over, a lot of scoring.
I'm with you, Brady. I think that defensive line is a major mismatch against that Washington offensive front. They gave up 9 sacks last week. They've been giving up a ton each and every week. Sam Howell's been hit so many times. And Parsons in front of the national TV audience is going to have a field day. This will get ugly. Turnovers lead to short fields, lead to touchdowns. Dak Prescott playing well. I'll take the Cowboys minus the points.
A word of warning, though. The Cowboys have not fared well against the spread on Thanksgiving. 1-11 in their last 12 Thanksgiving games against the spread. At night, we've got the 49ers laying 7 in Seattle. That is a big number in Seattle against that crowd. But Pete, the Niners did sweep the Seahawks last season, 3-0, including that win in the wild card round.
Yeah, and the Niners look like they're rolling a little bit, where Seattle kind of is a little bit stagnant. And Seattle's schedule, by the way, the next 4 weeks is just absolutely brutal. I mean, if they navigate through that, they'll have earned themselves a playoff spot. But I think in this one, you're going to see Brock Purdy and the offense move the football well. And I think that defense will limit what Geno Smith does. He's a little banged up. You remember, he went out of that game and came back in last week. So I'm going to take the 40. I know it's a big spot, big number on the road in a divisional game, but I'm going to lay the points here with the 49ers.
This is probably the toughest pick for me of the 3 games on Thanksgiving. I'm going to take the points here and Seattle at home, the home underdog, a divisional matchup where typically these games play pretty close. Pete touched on the fact that Geno Smith has that elbow injury on his throwing arm after the hit he sustained from Aaron Donald. It looks like he's going to go in this one, though. And for that reason, I do think there's some mismatches on the outside in the San Francisco secondary. Let's not forget, too, Talanoa Hufanga will be out now after suffering an injury after Rachaad White made a move on him in the open field. He's a big piece of that secondary, in particular in stopping the run, but also making plays. So without him and given some of the big plays they've given up, I think it's a favorable matchup for the Seahawks on the outside to create some plays in the passing game if they can protect Geno Smith, and that's a big if. So San Francisco wins the game, but Seattle keeps it within the number.
All right, 49ers, by the way, have won 9 straight divisional games, and they're 8-0-1 against the spread in those 9 divisional games. Pete likes the 49ers, but Brady is going to take the points with Seattle at home. Black Friday, first time the NFL is playing on Black Friday. It's the Dolphins at the Jets, 9.5-point spread here. Pete, how do you feel about Thanksgiving and now Black Friday getting so big? I mean, when you started covering the league, it was probably just the Cowboys playing on Thanksgiving.
No, it was the Lions. They were the first ones to play.
Right, the Lions,
the
yes.
national TV game. Yeah, the Lions played the Packers in the first national television game on the Dumont Network, by the way, in case you're wondering. And no, I wasn't covering the league back then. But this game is interesting to me because, you know, Miami hasn't been as good on offense lately. They haven't put up a lot of points, and they're playing against a Jets defense that was just obliterated last week. They didn't play very well. And I think they got tired of the quarterback situation. Well, now you have a new quarterback. Boyle's going in to play quarterback. I think that'll help rejuvenate the defense. So I think they keep it within the number. Look, in front of the national TV audience, I'm going to take the Jets plus the points here. Keep it within the number.
This one's surprising that we agree on this one. It's a big number for a divisional matchup, and especially with a team that can run the football and play defense like the Jets. So I'm with Pete. I'm going to go ahead and take the points here. I don't know how much Tim Boyle will provide them. I mean, really, if you come back through his history from his time at UConn to Eastern Kentucky, even to the NFL, he's never really been able to take care of the football and create a lot of production. Maybe he'll prove us all wrong in this spot, but I think this is one of those shortened game because of the run game and defense from the Jets trying to slow down everything the Dolphins are doing offensively. I'm taking the Jets in the 9.5 points here.
And expected to be around 45 degrees at kickoff. Tua has not won a game when it's been that cold, but he's facing a Tim Boyle character that's never won as a starter. 0-3 in his career as a starter, 3 touchdown passes, 6 interceptions. A lot of agreement here on the Thanksgiving and Black Friday games from Pete Prisco and Brady Quinn. Agree on the Packers, plus 7.5 in Detroit. Cowboys minus 10.5 at home against the Commanders. And the Jets getting 9.5 at home against the Dolphins. HQ presented by Penske. We are picking every NFL game against the spread. I'm Chris Hassel, joined by Brady Quinn and Pete Prisco. We are picking the Sunday early slate now, beginning with a huge game between the Jags and Texans. You can see it on CBS, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Pete, winner is going to be in first place in that division, and it's been a long time since these teams have been this good when they've played each other. First time in 16 years, both are over 500 when they play.
Yeah, and in this history of this series, the Texans have actually owned this series. They've won 10 of the last 11, including blowing them out earlier this year. But that's not going to happen here. I think Jacksonville's the better team all the way around. I think when you look at what the Texans have done, kudos to D'Amico Ryans. He's done a fantastic job. C.J. Stroud playing great football at the quarterback position, although there were little flaws last week. He threw 3 picks. I think Trevor Lawrence will play well here, but I think the biggest difference is Jacksonville's defense will be able to handle Stroud better than some of these other teams, and I think this is going to be one of those games where Jacksonville goes in, wins the game, and takes full command of the division, and probably will win a division. Whoever wins this game, by the way, wins the division.
That's really going out on a limb there, Pete, considering they're the top 2 teams right now in the AFC South. That being said, though, he's right. I mean, these are 2 of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL. C.J. Stroud's really made a name for himself carrying the Houston Texans this season, and they've started to get the running game going the past couple of weeks. So, though, I think that's where Jacksonville is able to put up a fight here and cover this number, even though the fact that they're on the road. Their defense has been pretty opportunistic. They've been better against the run, too, and I think they've got the ability to rush C.J. Stroud, put pressure on him, and maybe you get a couple of turnovers like we saw last week where Pete mentioned he threw 3. And also, last week, how about the Jacksonville Jaguars bouncing back, and as Pete would say, more down the field, more of this, not so much this, not that way, but this way down the field. Saw a lot of that from Jacksonville last week, more of that. I think we'll see more of that from both teams in this one, but I like the Jags to cover the 1.5.
Vertical, north and south, that's what Pete wants to see. A ton of 1.5-point spreads this week. There are 4 of them just on Sunday afternoon. Here's another one. Steelers at Bengals. Brady, the Bengals playing their first game without Joe Burrow as Jake Browning gets his first start.
Yeah, and look, he's capable of, commanding this offense and being able to execute with this offense. I don't know if he'll be able to make some of the clutch throws and plays and can move the same way we've seen Joe Burrow, when healthy this year, play for the Bengals. And on the flip side, the Steelers, they made a change, obviously, at the offensive coordinator position. You'll get Mike Sullivan now calling the plays, Eddie Faulkner helping out the running back coach as well. This really comes down to what Kenny Pickett can do within a system that's kind of handcuffed him. Well, now this will be his opportunity to open some things up. So I think the defense and also the change at play caller helps open some things up for Pittsburgh. They cover the 1.5 here on the road in Cincinnati. Tough place to play.
I'm with you. I think this. You look at the quarterback situation. Yeah, we don't know what Browning is. We've seen Pickett, but we haven't seen him with a new offensive coordinator. And I think this is his chance to play better. And I think that when you see a young quarterback step in and start against that defense, that's going to be a problem. So I'll take the Steelers as well here in this spot.
We've got another 1.5-point spread between division teams in the NFC South. Saints at Falcons. Look, listen, this division, it's got to be won by somebody. The Saints have a game lead. They're getting 1.5 in Atlanta, Brady.
It's surprising. I mean, this is one of those fishy numbers that didn't make a lot of sense. I almost wanted to go the other way, but I think the Saints are a better team. If they can just offensively get some things going. Defensively, they've been great this year. I think they're going to do their part in making this game a lower scoring game for Atlanta, but I think this could be an opportunity for the Saints offense to open some things up, score some more points. But I'll take the 1.5 of the Saints here on the road.
I'm with you, Brady. I think they are the better team. And, the quarterback uncertainty in Atlanta isn't a good look for the Falcons. I think that when you see the Saints defense, they're the better defense. I think they go in there, limit what the Falcons do. I'll take the Saints in this game. And I also think they're going to win the division.
All right, let's move to another game on CBS at 1 o'clock Eastern time. It's the Buccaneers at the Colts. The Bucs are tied with the Falcons in a game behind the Saints, getting 2.5 in Indy. Brady?
Tough spot here for the Buccaneers, given the loss last week. It went back-to-back weeks on the road, as Pete always likes to say. But I'm going to take them. I think if you look at the Buccaneers up front, they did a decent job trying to stop the run. It's just about not giving up the big plays in the passing game. And I'm sure Pete's going to say it. He's not going to bet on Gardner Minshew making plays versus a secondary that's banged up and has struggled. So I'll take the 2.5 points. I also think this is a lower scoring game, kind of a slugfest. At least we've seen that from the Colts offense of late, and obviously from the Bucs as well. But I think the Bucs are going to cover the number here.
I agree. I think the Bucs cover the number as well, but I was more convinced of it before all the injuries started showing up. I mean, they're really banged up on the defensive side of the ball. They could be playing a bunch of rookies, and some of those rookies have played really well, but they're going to be playing a lot of rookies on that side of the ball. Levante David is banged up. Dennis might have to start for him. So that concerns me, but having said that, I'm not taking Gardner Minshew, and we don't know what the Darius Leonard situation is going to impact that team as well. So I will take the Bucs here with Brady.
All right, last two 1 o'clock games are between 4 teams, I believe, in the bottom 5 of the NFL. Kind of some sickos football here. Panthers at Titans. Tennessee's laying 4 at home. Pete, the Titans haven't lost at home this season, though. 0-7 away, but 3-0 at home.
Yeah, and I think they'll win this game. Both offensive lines have been dreadful, and these two young quarterbacks have taken a beating. I mean, they've just been brutalized week in and week out. So that's always a concern. Could lead to turnovers, short fields, big plays for the defense. But I'm going to go with Will Levis in this one. I thought he was the better quarterback when he came out. I still think he's going to end up being the better quarterback. I think he plays better in this one. I'll take the Titans in this spot.
I'm with Pete. I'm laying the points with the Titans at home. Chris, you mentioned the fact they've played really well at home. They're almost a different team. And also, Mike Vrabel having to answer questions about his job security. Give me a break. I mean, he's going to be the head coach there for, in my opinion, as long as he wants. He's a good coach. They're going through some issues, I think, on the roster and some growing pains, if you will. They've also suffered a number of injuries. But this is one where I don't think the Carolina Panthers offense has given you enough optimism that they can go on the road and be able to stay within this number with a team that I think at home is one of the better teams, obviously, in the AFC, at least based on how they played this year. So I'll lay the 4 points, but I also think a lower scoring game. I like the under in this game as well.
All right, now to a couple teams who are in position for potentially a top 2 pick. Patriots, 3.5-point favorites at the Giants. Brady, the line, this is Big Ten West territory here. It's 33.5.
Yeah, and it's hard to know what's going to happen in this game because Bill Belichick's played everything so close to the vest in regards to who the starting quarterback's going to be. And just looking at some of the tea leaves that are coming out, Mac Jones even saying he thinks he's going to be the starter. He thinks that's the plan. I mean, it's a bit confusing. I mean, for that reason, I'm on the other side. I'm taking the 3.5 points and the home underdog. I think you saw some life from the Giants last week. The Paisan passion there from my man Tommy DeVito stepping up too, and Brian Daboll finding a game plan to help DeVito play to his best. I think the defense can be opportunistic versus an offense of the Patriots that's largely struggled this year. So I'll take the 3.5 points and the home underdog.
I'm going to take the Patriots here. As much as I wanted to go with Tommy DeVito because he does live at home and he has his mom do his wash and he eats a lot of chicken cutlets. I love that about him. And by the way, when his family sits in the crowd, it reminds me of a family I know very well, mine.
Yeah, it's a son you never had, Pete.
Yeah, I would love to see Tommy DeVito play well, but I think Bill Belichick against a rookie quarterback is always kind of a mismatch, and I think that'll be a mismatch here as well. No matter what the Patriots' quarterback situation is, I'm going to take New England minus the small number.
Word on the street, or in the newsroom, I guess I should say, is that Brady is actually more Italian than you, Pete.
I don't think so. I'm full-blooded. Full-blooded.
According to 23andMe, all right, the Italian horn around your chest doesn't really count for much, genetically speaking, Pete.
All right, let's move to the 4:25 Eastern Time games on CBS. This is a really good one. The Bills at the Eagles. Eagles are favored by 3. Brady, this feels like a potential letdown spot for the Eagles after that huge win against the Chiefs.
Huge win, short week. You know, they come back home, and not only is it a potential letdown, but, it seems like they're at times kind of skating by. Like, if not for Marquez Valdes-Scantling catching that football, in Pete's opinion, if Patrick Mahomes apparently was throwing a better ball, in his words, KC probably wins that game. I don't know that they go through the rest of the schedule unscathed. They do have a tough schedule the rest of the way. I think it's a tough spot for them to be in. The Bills have played, at least looked better last week offensively. Joe Brady calling the plays. Maybe there's some inspiration there, too. So I think Buffalo can at least keep this one close, if not outright win it. So I'll take the 3.5 points of the Buffalo Bills on the road. Or 3 points, excuse me.
For a guy who threw footballs in the National Football League, you would know that sometimes a guy can still drop a ball and it could be a better throw. You would think you would know that, but you don't know that, so I have no idea why. He should have caught the football. It could have been a better throw. It can be both of those things. Now we're moving on. I'll take Buffalo in this spot as well. I think there will be a little bit of a letdown, like Chris mentioned. I also think it's going to be really high scoring. I like what I saw from the Buffalo offense last week. The Eagles' secondary is not great. I think when you look at their corners, they've had all kinds of issues. If those guys catch the ball last week, it really magnifies that. So I'll take Buffalo plus the points. I think the Eagles win the game, but I'll take the points.
Well, the team you guys have been talking a lot about during this game is also in a game on CBS at 4:25 Eastern. The Chiefs laying 9.5 in Vegas against the Raiders. Brady, the Chiefs offense really struggling. They haven't scored more than 17 points in any of the last 3 games.
They're having a hard time finding another option outside of Travis Kelce when things aren't there. And they're asking Patrick Mahomes to play like Superman at times, and he's very much capable of doing that. I think we saw that. Again, not to go back to this pass that Pete doesn't want me to keep bringing up because it's such an idiotic comment from him. But Patrick Mahomes has played phenomenal this year. But look, they still have time left to find someone who's going to emerge on the outside in the passing game outside of Travis Kelce. And look, their defense is playing at a really high clip, high level. So it's a big number, and they're on the road here, but I'll gladly lay the points with the Chiefs. I've got much more confidence in where this team's at, what they're capable of, as compared to where the Raiders are at now, where I think you're going to start to see them maybe see a little bit more of the true colors. Antonio Pierce done a great job thus far, but this is a big-time challenge.
I'm with you. I'm taking the Chiefs as well. I think this is a team that's angry. They're going to regroup. They should have won that game the other night. They know that. The defense is very good. The Raiders are limited on offense. You take away Devontae Adams, they don't do a lot. So I do think that the Chiefs will find a way to cover this number, even though it's a big number to be laying inside the division.
There are also 2 games kicking off just after 4 o'clock Eastern Time Sunday, 4:05 Eastern. Browns at Broncos. All of a sudden, a really interesting game between 2 teams that have just found ways to win lately, Brady. The Broncos laying 2.5 at home.
Yeah, and it's tough for me to not necessarily buy into the streak that Denver's been on so far. I mean, they've beaten some really good football teams. The defense is playing better, and Russell Wilson is back to that his clutch self that we saw sometimes during his time in Seattle. This is a different challenge, though. This is a really good Browns defense, and it's a team that can run the football. And as long as Dorian Thompson-Robinson manages the game and can make plays when he needs to, like the end of last week, I think they can't just outright cover this one. I think they can win. So I'll take the 2.5 points and the Browns on the road here versus Denver.
I think they do win the game. Look, I like what I saw from Thompson Robinson late in the game when he had to go drive to a field goal. He went 4 for 4 against a good defense. I think he can do that against this defense, and their defense is phenomenal. They will get turnovers. Russell Wilson will turn the ball over. And you know what? Denver's won the last couple weeks by winning the turnover battle. This game they won't. I'll take Cleveland.
Okay, the other game at 4:05 Eastern Time, the Rams at the Cards. Arizona is actually a slight favorite in this game, another 1.5-point spread. Brady, the Rams once again waived Darrell Henderson. Kyron Williams is expected to play.
Yeah, and he's a back that can be out there for all 3 downs. All right, he's capable, obviously, of running the football, but even more in particular, catching the football out of the backfield, third down pass protection, all those things. So he brings that kind of element to an offense that I'm not going to say was missing it, but I think when you saw him earlier this season, you really liked what you saw from him. This is a surprising line. I really thought that the Rams, this would be a pick 'em or the Rams would be favored in this case. So I'll gladly take the 1.5. I think when Matthew Stafford's in there, he gives this offense life and an opportunity to be what they're capable of being. The defense has been feisty, and Kyler Murray is really the one thing that's carrying this Cardinals offense so far. So I'll take the 1.5 points and the Rams at home, or excuse me, the Rams on the road.
I'm going to take the Cardinals. I think Kyler Murray's played well. They probably should have won last week against Houston on the road, and he played well. I think this is an opportunity to continue to grow in that offense. He looks much more comfortable in that offense than he did in Cliff Kingsbury, and their defense is feisty. I think this is a low-scoring game, but I'll take Kyler Murray and Arizona to win it.
Getting our picks here as we do each and every week from Brady Quinn and Pete Prisco against the spread in the NFL, but the guys who do it best and do it for every single sport and do it every single day over on the Early Edge podcast hosted by the coach, Jonathan Coachman, and they have live podcasts leading up to every primetime game each week as well. Picking every NFL game against the spread on HQ, presented by Penske. Here are the Sunday and Monday night games. Ravens, road favorites at the Chargers. They're getting 3.5 in L.A. And on Monday Night Football, the Vikings, 3.5-point favorites against the Chicago Bears. Let's pick them with Brady Quinn and Pete Prisco. And let's start with that Sunday nighter. Pete, you've been pretty vocal over the years of complaints for Brandon Staley. A lot of people complaining about the bad defense. You've mostly complained about what he's done with the offense. What's the bigger problem right now?
Oh, no, it's the defense. And I complain about his bad decisions during games. Those are the ones that really get to me. But the defense is supposed to be a specialty. They can't stop the pass. They're terrible against the pass, and it's because of him. I mean, they have talent on that defense. He needs to pick it up, and this is not a great situation for them to do that. The Ravens can throw the football. We know that. They don't have Mark Andrews. That is a little concerning. But when you can attack on the outside against a defense that's last in the league against the pass, I think Lamar Jackson lights them up. I'll take the Ravens.
I'm laying the 3.5 points here, too. And look, even though you might make the case that Brandon Staley and the Chargers are somewhat desperate if they want to get back in the wild card race for a playoff spot, but the loss of Joey Bosa can't be understated. That pass rush just doesn't look quite the same when he's not out there. So I think the Ravens will be able to run the football, be able to throw the football around. And defensively, we'll see. Herbert played phenomenal last week. As Pete kind of touched on, he's definitely not the problem there in L.A. Regardless, I'll lay the 3.5 points with the Ravens.
Okay, let's move to Monday Night Football. Bears at the Vikings. Minnesota had that heartbreaking loss in Denver last week. The total's 43.5. The numbers, anyway, say this is a Vikings pick here. The Bears have lost 12 straight divisional games. The Vikings, Brady, have the longest cover streak in the league, 6 straight. Do they make it 7?
I think I'm laying the 3.5 here with the Vikings because it feels like, to me, it's a tough place to play. The defense has been playing outstanding. And even though Fields did a good job last week in his first game back with a thumb injury, you're just not seeing enough consistency from the passing game. Now, I'm saying this when we're talking about Josh Dobbs, the quarterback for the Vikings. Guy just got there a few weeks ago. He's played extremely well, though, running the football, throwing the football. And even though Justin Jefferson's not back, I still think they're capable versus that defense of winning and covering this number. So I'll lay the 3.5 here with the home team in Minnesota.
I will as well. It looks a little fishy, though. I mean, the number looks a little fishy to me. I thought it would be a little bit more, but I'm still going to lay it. I think their defense will, Brian Flores will throw a bunch of different looks at that Bears offense and confuse Justin Fields, get to some turnovers. I'll take Minnesota minus the number as well.
Pete, you guys agreed on 13 of the 16 games this week.
Yeah. We're doomed.
I'm rubbing off
We're
on
doomed.
Them. I'm rubbing off on them. Yeah,
no, we're doomed.
What do you want me to say?
What do you mean? I had a better week. I had a better week last week than you, so I don't know what's rubbing off.
Who's had a better season, Pete?
Right now you have, but is the season over, Brady? Is the season over? That's all I want to know. Is the season over?
Clearly, someone's been copying my paper. So once again, you're welcome.
No, you.
Well, hey,
mine are in early.
If everything goes right this week, you will tie Brady because you only have 3 picks that are different. So if you get all 3 of those right, you guys will be tied going into the last week of the year.
Well, the best bet count. The best. Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
The best bet counts for 2, so I could be ahead of them.
Okay, let's get your best bets. Pete, who do you like?
Look, I'm going with a rookie quarterback making his first road start in the NFL. I'm going with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I think they go out. The Browns go out there. They protect him. He protects the ball. They play good defense. And Denver isn't as good as their win streak. I think Cleveland dominates this game and wins it. I'll take the Browns.
I'm going to go with another road team that's getting 1.5, and that's the LA Rams taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Look, I like what this team has been this year. They've been a scrappy, fun team to watch. When Matthew Stafford's their quarterback, they legitimately have a shot at winning these things. So I'll go ahead and take the 1.5 here in the Rams.
One more question from best bets to best dish on Thanksgiving. Pete, you're the pickiest eater in the world. What is your favorite Thanksgiving dish?
Mashed potatoes.
Gravy too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gravy and mashed potatoes. Love it.
All right, Brady, chicken Parmesan?
No, that's my Super Bowl meal. But thank you for pointing that out, Chris. Sweet potato casserole or cream corn.
Wow.
To me, those are the 2 best things out there. I could eat if you do the sweet potato casserole right, I could eat that for dessert. They're so good.
There's no chance, Pete. Pete would never do a Friendsgiving either because his biggest pet peeve is being invited over to somebody's house for dinner or some kind of a meal. He will not eat at someone else's house.
Well, and Chris, you know what? They might serve that green bean casserole or something, and I really don't want that. I want to decide what I want to eat, you know?
All right, happy Thanksgiving, guys. Pete Prisco and Brady Quinn with us. Picks against the spread for every NFL game. And here are their primetime picks Sunday and Monday along with their best bets. Again, they agreed on 13 of 16 games, including Ravens -3.5 of the Chargers, Vikings -3.5 at home against the Bears. Brady's best bet is the Rams. Pete's best bet, Cleveland in Denver against the Broncos.